What's up, Taiwan? I'm Joyce coming to you from Taipei with the latest news. Former Taipei Mayor Wen-je has been released on bail after a hearing that lasted until the early hours of Friday morning. The one-time presidential hopeful was charged with bribery and mishandling political funds on Thursday and is facing 28.5 years in jail. Tiffany Wong is live for us at the Taipei District Court. Tiffany, what was the reaction like when Ko was let out?
Former Taipei Mayor Wen-je is back at home after 4 months held incommunicado, and he walked out of the courthouse today smiling as he heard cheers from his supporters for the first time in months. He was granted that $915,000 bail today, and he went home and broke down as he addressed his supporters for the first time, thanking them for their presence over the past few months and still maintaining his innocence. His supporters and party members fought tirelessly last night, waiting until 3 a.m. when the court finally gave him that bail offer. Now, they have still maintained his innocence, and now the court has said that they have not found any reason for prosecutors to continue holding them as they investigate, as they have been for the past few months. Walking free for the first time in 4 months, former Taipei Mayor Wen-je heads home with a smile on his face after spending most of his corruption investigation held incommunicado. He was visibly emotional as he addressed supporters outside his home, maintaining his innocence after prosecutors officially charged him with acts of corruption.
有时候感谢上苍给我这个机会，可以反省一下自己的人生，你知道吗？我还是相信我自己。 不是那种什么图利啦、贪污啦、会违法的人啊，但是会遇到这种风风雨雨，你知道吗？表示我们人生还是有地方要检讨。
Ke is implicated in a corruption scandal involving a land redevelopment project when he was mayor. He's also been charged with misusing political funds during his failed run for president this year. 4 others charged in the case were offered bail on Friday, including Ke's former deputy mayor and the head of a company in charge of the development project in question. Their combined bail is over $3 million. Ke is the most high-profile figure in the case. A crowd outside the courthouse erupted in cheers early Friday morning when the judge struck down the prosecutor's request to extend his detention. Leading members of the party he founded, the Taiwan People's Party, were also there.
我们从来没有放弃过，但是我要拜托大家一件事。 我拜托大家一件事，我们接下来还有更辛苦的仗要打，请大家一定要记得一件事，这不是只是为了阿北个人，这是为了我们深爱的土地，为了台湾的民主，为了台湾的法治，我们会一直跟阿北走下去，永远不会放弃。
Ke supporters have called the charges a political attack by the ruling Democratic Progressive Party to shut down the TPP as a rising third party. The party plays a vital swing role in the legislature, and Ke ran strongly in this year's presidential election. The trial is expected to last months, and if found guilty, Ke faces a potential 28.5 years in prison if the prosecutors get their way. But his release, even if temporary, is a welcome relief to his family, party, and supporters. Now, Ke looks happy to finally see his supporters after so long, but it's possible that he will try to keep a low profile for the rest of the trial as the rest of the country is gripped by this corruption scandal.
Thank you, Tiffany, for that update. That was Tiffany Wong live outside the Taipei District Court. The Defense Ministry has declined to give TaiwanPlus further explanation as to why some of its most critical weapons were deployed within public view, a move some say is a security risk. Jaime Ocon explains.
These Taiwanese Navy personnel are part of a special unit known as the Haifeng Brigade. They're tasked with one core mission: destroying enemy ships. And by carrying missiles in massive trucks, they're able to deploy almost anywhere in the country. Earlier this year, TaiwanPlus got a chance to see one of the brigades in action as they conducted a simulated defense of a port against pretend Chinese ships.
近年来，更从固定阵地转型为机动飞弹车组，并挂载了雄风3型反舰飞弹。
Established in the 1980s, the Haifeng Missile Brigade has seen a surge in investment in recent years, spurred by the military pressure from China, which has the world's largest navy and threatens to invade Taiwan. Analysts here in Taiwan say that the Haifeng Brigade is a core part of Taiwan's asymmetric strategy, leaning more on missiles to offset the costs of expensive warships.
因为台湾的资源 resources 比较有限，所以就不能采取传统海军的这个做法。那所以在这种情况下，台湾作为一个防卫者，就是有足够的飞弹的话，就可以阻止中国的两栖登陆。那当然就可以让台湾有很高的机会可以防卫成功了。
The Haifeng Brigade was deployed multiple times during several of China's recent large military exercises around the country, giving the public a glimpse of one of the country's most secretive weapon systems. Critics argue that the public display poses a security risk, as the weapons are repeatedly deployed in the same location and are easily trackable due to their size.
There is a huge convoy that's the track attentions and everyone know where it is. The bigger the convoy, of course, the higher the profile that they are. You can bet that a remote sensing satellite, a Chinese remote sensing satellite from space, take a photo, they can see easily on a highway.
A Chinese company has already used dozens of pictures uploaded by Taiwanese media to map out what they suspect are the system's transportation routes and where they would be stationed. Taiwan's defense ministry has said that during wartime, there would be many places they could be deployed.
我们主要现在就着重在于这个在战力保存的阶段，要着重于信息管理。那我们要部署的战术位置也不是只有一个。
Analysts from Taiwan's government-backed think tank argue that in an actual conflict, this massive convoy, which includes the radar, a command center, and the missiles, would never be in the same place at the same time.
大概是3个 module， 3个模组，所以它要去一个就是 set up 一个 position， 其实很快，就不会像现在就是可能看到你在一个停车场就会就是容易看到它。 在真正战时的时候，它这3个 module 会分开的。
While Taiwan navigates how to correctly use and deploy its new systems, the Navy has plans to expand the Haifeng Brigade across the country. While the brigade's weapons seem necessary for Taiwan's defense, it remains unclear if the military has nailed down the tactics necessary to use them effectively. Andy Shrey and Jaime Ocon for TaiwanPlus.
2 new Chinese military aircraft have been seen conducting flight tests over the city of Chengdu. The 2 apparent fighter jets are thought to be part of a stealth aircraft program that China has not publicly revealed. In videos shared on social media, they are seen flying within hours of each other. Experts have speculated that the second one could be part of China's 6th-generation aircraft program. China has yet to comment on these 2 new fighter jets. For more on China's 6th-generation fighter, Bryn Thomas spoke to Ewan Graham, the acting director of the Australian Strategic Policy Foundation.
Can you tell me what your immediate reaction is to these images of what many people are calling China's first 6th-generation fighter?
I think we have to be cautious until we know more about the design specifics. But the decision itself to reveal this in daylight, in what looks like a coordinated way with yet another potential 6G aircraft design from China, it shows that China wants to get the message out that it's got a new capability in the air and is not afraid of being transparent in that limited sense. But the race is on. I think it's a clear reminder that China, that the United States and its allies don't have a cushion they can sit on in terms of the technological lead that they have in high-performance aircraft.
Can you tell me what makes something a 6th-generation fighter? What, for example, is the difference between a 5th and a 6th-generation fighter?
I think the key variable from the look of this design is stealth. Stealth is specific to fifth generation designs onward. That said, it does also, with the swept wing design, obviously suggest that this is capable of supersonic flight. That goes right back to the 4G generation of aircraft, right back to the 1950s. We shouldn't forget that although China has made leaps and bounds in aviation technology and the PLA more generally, it is still stuck in the bomber mode with a very early 1950s airframe design, which they've innovated a great deal on. But the linkage is clear. If China is making particular advances in manned aviation and uncrewed platforms to accompany that, then the airspace is more contested. It's more difficult for the US and its partners to operate throughout the first island chain, which is the main zone of contention with China. And that, of course, includes Taiwan for your audience.
That was Ewan Graham from the Australian Strategic Policy Foundation. Suspicions are mounting that an Azerbaijan Airlines plane that crashed in Kazakhstan on Wednesday, killing 38 people, was downed by a Russian air defense system. Images have emerged on social media that appear to show shrapnel damage on the wreckage. Returning home after a nightmare flight on Christmas Day, Azerbaijani survivors of the deadly plane crash near Aktau city in Kazakhstan arrived back in Azerbaijan's capital, Baku, and were met with emergency responders and medics. The Embraer 190 passenger plane was supposed to fly from Baku to Grozny in southern Russia, an area where Moscow and Kyiv are engaged in active combat. The plane was instead diverted hundreds of miles off course for an emergency landing, crashing in a ball of fire in Kazakhstan, killing 38 of the 67 people on board. There are mixed reports over what caused the crash, with Azerbaijani and U.S. officials suspecting a Russian missile hit the passenger plane, an explanation backed by some aviation experts.
C'est que l'analyse des débris de l'avion permet de savoir un petit peu plus sur la cause et notamment ces traces qui sont notamment sur la queue de l'appareil. On a de l'extérieur et de l'intérieur des preuves qu'il y a bien eu des shrapnels qui ont traversé l'avion. C'est forcément un missile de défense aérienne.
16 of the plane's passengers were Russians, and as those who survived arrived near Moscow, the Kremlin reiterated its warning against jumping to unfounded conclusions, with investigators in Kazakhstan yet to release any results. Meanwhile, foreign governments like Brazil and Canada have sent their own officials to aid investigations and called on Russia for an open and transparent probe. Speaking to Reuters, sources with knowledge of the case so far say Baku expects Moscow to confess to shooting down the plane, a situation that would make more countries wary of the Kremlin.
And so if they aren't given some sort of assurance that these flights won't be shot down by Russian air defense systems, this could lead to disagreements between Russia and the states that not only border Russia, but have been critical in ensuring that Russia has been able to evade Western-led sanctions from its invasion of Ukraine.
Celebrations here this holiday season have now been muted as people mourn those lost on that Christmas flight. And with answers still elusive and unclear, uncertainty pervades along with grief. Hank Xu and Joyce Tseng for TaiwanPlus. Hundreds of people gathered in southern Thailand to mark the 20th anniversary of the 2004 Indian Ocean earthquake and tsunami. They held a ceremony and performed religious rites at a tsunami memorial wall to pay their respects to victims of the disaster. The event was held in one of Thailand's hardest hit provinces, where the disaster took over 5,000 lives. The tsunami was caused by a 9.1 magnitude earthquake, which claimed over 230,000 lives across several countries in the region. Thank you for joining us for What's Up Taiwan. Before we go, check out South Korean artist Mireille Lee's exhibit at the Tate Modern in London. Lee says she was inspired by the gallery's history as a power station. I'm Joyce. Take care and see you next time.